Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever or whenever you happen to be listening to this. Thank you for listening to the Sales for the Nigerian Wedding Industry podcast. I'm your host, Abuja based event and wedding photographer, Tavishima Ayede. Now, I realize that I haven't made a rant so far this year in 2021. And so, not to disappoint you guys, I've already found something that is rant worthy today. And the thing I'm going to get on my soapbox about is how not to look for prospects, or in another way of putting it, how not to look for customers. Now, this might not apply to those of us directly in the wedding and the event space, but however, I expect that it may because even though hopefully those of us who are listening to this, the majority of those of us who listen are in the wedding and the event space, I know that typically people in that segment of the population typically have two or three hustles. So it's possible that you find someone like me who's a wedding photographer, but in my own case, I tend to do some teaching and consulting on the side. And then you might find some other people who are, let's say, event and wedding planners, like my friend Laura of Posh and Pristine Events. But she also runs two other successful businesses, one in selling potted plants, for homes and offices. And she also runs a, what's it called, SMS marketing service. I'm not sure how that works, but it's something I would like to meet up with her one day, and just because I'm curious, just to see what kinds of other businesses are out there and business models. So, but bottom line is, what I'm about to talk today might not apply to wedding professionals if that's all you do, weddings. But I'm sure that you have a side hustle, and so this is going to come in handy. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. So recently, I think in February, I started a Facebook interaction with someone who reached out to me cold. When I say cold, I mean that neither of us have any prior knowledge of each other. I don't think she knew me from the past, and I don't think we've met before. So it was a really cold interaction. Although the reason why I remember it today is because we only just wrapped up our conversation. That's from February all the way up until now. I must confess, it's one of the reasons why I'm not a fan of following through on sales conversations using text-based approaches. So if people hit me up on email in the past, my instinct was to try and get them over on the phone. But I've stopped that habit because I've realized that email people tend to want to stick the email, and if you reply back asking for their phone number, they're not going to give in. But anyway, this is just one of the disadvantages of that medium. This is just my own pet peeve. So this discussion started in February, and as you will see, very. If it was a phone conversation, it would have been a lot faster. Let's just put it that way. Instead of chatting all the way from February up until almost the beginning of April. Okay, so it was a Facebook interaction. Excuse me, and this was on Facebook Messenger. So the lady reaches out and she fires off greetings, and that's good. We should always be polite, send greetings when we're reaching out to people cold. Even if we're reaching out to people we already know, it's good to start off with greetings. And then she did this thing where she stated her name, and she said she's a crypto investor and that she's an origin of Ondo State. Now, I'm sure regular listeners will remember where I dissected another approach from another individual who called up because he wanted to sell agricultural produce. That's for the second business that me, my brother, and another active partner run called Dove Agro Seeds. And his opening salvo was pretty much the same. Greetings, name, and that he's an origin of Delta State, I think. So I'm just wondering, where is this coming from that people kick off their opening salvo saying their state of origin? I'm just wondering, is that a thing in Nigeria, and why? Because really, if I'm interested in crypto or if I'm looking for agricultural produce to buy, I don't really think your state of origin is important to me. I'm not sure if I'm interested in that. Maybe if I'm looking to learn from you how to do crypto, then maybe where you live might be important because that'll determine how far I have to travel if I want to have in-person consultations. And if you sell agricultural produce, then maybe where you live or where you source from might be of importance. But really, I hope there are wedding and event industry professionals who are not starting off the conversation that way, saying, "Hello, my name is Kemi of ABC Wedding Planning, and I'm an origin of Ekiti State." I really don't think that's important. So when you reach out to people cold, cut that part out. So, back to where we were. Greetings, my name is so and so. I'm a crypto investor and I am from Ondo State. Now, I suspected that she was trying to shake me up for a sale, but anyway, I like to keep things polite. So, I tried to strike up a conversation, and my typical thing when people hit me up on LinkedIn or Facebook or whatever is I just try to strike up a conversation. Have we met before? I like to feel them out before we get to the root of what it is that they are trying to sell. And that's because since I started with my podcasts, not just this one, Sales for the Nigerian Wedding Industry podcast, but my other podcast, So You're Getting Married. That one is targeted towards brides and grooms. And then also the Sales Conversation Instagram handle. So since I started off my business endeavors, that's the wedding photography and all these other projects of mine, my contact details are all over the internet, and so I get loads and loads and loads of people trying to sell me stuff. So anyway, yeah, I usually try to strike up a conversation because since I make a living talking to strangers, I try to let people down easy when they reach out. I don't just tell them to faff off. And then she ignored my attempts at conversation and went straight into beginning her pitch. And she starts off with, "Have you heard about AvaTrade before?" and how she's willing to teach me about Bitcoin to help me earn the profit that I desire. Now, this is not a good idea, whatever industry that you are in, to just launch into your sales pitch immediately. Because typically, I would advise that you work with whatever motivations, whatever flow, whatever momentum that the potential customer has already established. If you flow with that, you're going to make this a much more comfortable process. Because let's say you're at the wedding fair and you walk up to your bride, the other way around. The bride walks up to you, and then she's like, "Hi, how are you guys doing? Oh, are you the photography? Oh, I've heard about you guys before. You cover my friend's wedding. I think blah, 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 and this, that. And then I just cut off and try to get down to business. Like, yeah, are you the one who's getting married? What date is it? Blah, 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 blah." That's going to be very rude. And apart from being rude and showing that you're disingenuous or disinterested in the person, you're throwing a spanner in the works. Just work with whatever flow the person comes with when they meet you. So yes, you're trying to sell and you're trying to get to the heart of the conversation a lot quickly, but work with whatever flow that you meet. So if you're a crypto trader or you sell potted plants or you're a wedding photographer and someone comes and the person is trying to strike up a conversation, just flow with that conversation. But you are the sales professional. You know what the important things are that you need to tackle and what you need to hit. So flow with the conversation and then guide the conversation accordingly. Don't just launch into your pitch. Have you heard about AvaTrade? I want to teach you about Bitcoin, blah, blah, blah. Buy my potted plant, buy my wedding photography, or buy my shoes on Instagram, buy. Take it easy. Slow it down a notch. Engage. In my own case, I try to engage in conversation. Engage in conversation back and then blend your sales pitch through that. So that was one mistake that she made. And I trust that wedding industry professionals are not going to make this mistake because our industry is a much more personable industry. So even if that's how you come in the beginning, from watching everybody else, your friends, your fellow photographers, videographers, wedding planners, MCs, whatever, cake artists, you will learn that you need to slow things down a notch and just go with the flow. So yes, she made too many assumptions. And another assumption that she made was that I'm interested in Bitcoin. Now, I'm surprised about that because all my profiles, whether on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, you name. All my profiles are public, and none of them betray an interest in Bitcoin or asset trading. You can't look at any of my profiles and think this guy is interested in Bitcoin or this guy is interested in asset trading, commodities trading, or whatever it is. Now, yes, I am interested in these things from purely from an intellectual angle, but not in a practical way. I'm just interested because that seems to be one avenue that a whole bunch of the world is moving in, and so I'd like to have an educated opinion on these sorts of things. So, if she had looked at my profile, she would have no reason to think, one, I'm interested in Bitcoin, or that I'm interested in any kind of asset trading whatsoever. If you look at my handles, it's obvious that I am interested in the discipline of sales and how we can sell better. I'm also interested in relationships. That's what my relationships and marriage. That's what my second podcast is about. And obviously, I'm interested in photography because that is what I do for a living. So, if you're going to be going on the internet to canvas and look for people to approach, check their profiles and be sure that they're interested in what it is that you do. So, if you're a wedding planner and you have nothing better to do with your time, you're scouting Instagram or Facebook, and you come across someone that it's obvious she just got proposed to recently, but it looks like she's a DIY person. In fact, she's already looking at articles and sharing stuff and posting things about DIY ways to plan your wedding. I really don't think it's the best use of her time to approach her to see if she needs a wedding planner. She's a DIY person, and clearly she's doing the research to do DIY. You're better off spending your time looking for someone that it kind of appears is already interested in things that you offer. Then she also assumed that even if I was interested in Bitcoin, that I want that profit was my goal. People use Bitcoin and different kinds of asset classes for different reasons. Sometimes people buy gold or Bitcoin or some other commodities because they're trying to hedge value. So why did she assume that I'm interested? And she assumed that profit is what it is that I am looking for. So that's one mistake that she made, and that I would not. I would pray that we don't make that mistake either in our wedding businesses or other businesses that we're involved in. Don't make these assumptions at all. Don't assume that people want what it is that you have. Now, if you must go online to try and canvas for a business, I really think it's easier to go where your public is rather than to go around random fishing. Send out requests on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever, and then from there start going into your sales pitch. Seek out forums where people already are and take it from there. So if you're in the wedding and the event space, if you must do this, I don't recommend random canvassing on the internet, but if you must and you're a wedding planner, perhaps you're better off scouring Bella Niger, what else? Ara weddings, all those handles that have a lot of engagement from prospective brides, and then try and enter their DMs from there. Now, I would not recommend that, but I am saying if this is your kind of thing, random fishing, then make it much more targeted. So for this lady, this crypto investor and tutor, should have been better off looking at Facebook groups on that are built around the ideas of Bitcoin. And they should have been able to find loads of people who are interested in Bitcoin. And looking at their interactions, you'll be able to find those who are interested in Bitcoin from a profit perspective. And then she could now reach out and try and market herself to those people. She also could have looked at Twitter threads concerning Bitcoin, and then maybe looked at Niger Invest. Maybe they have some forums on Bitcoin. There's also Naira Land and different forums like that where people are discussing Bitcoin. And these might not be bad places if you're one of those people who believes in randomly scouring the internet. These are ways that you could increase your chances for success. Just go where your public already is. Go where your people are. Don't just start casting wide nets, because you're wasting your time chatting with somebody from February all the way to March. And I'm sure I'm not the only person that she was having those kinds of conversations with. Let's put the odds in our favor. Go where you think your people already are. Yeah, so that's just a summary of my rant. I don't think randomly scouring the internet is a good idea, but if you must, try and put the odds in your favor, make it more targeted. Think about your people, think about where they hang out, and then go there. So if you must randomly scour for your wedding planning business, then don't just send blanket invites and then go straight into the pitch. I mentioned, I think Aroa Weddings, Bella Niger. I think there's one. Gosh, I can't remember. But there are different handles that you could follow, and yeah, so that's it. Try and make it much more targeted. Don't make any assumptions, and then try and work with whatever flow that you meet. If someone is trying to be conversational, flow with the conversational, and then slide into the sales pitch from there. If someone is curt and formal and businesslike, then you also be curt, formal, and businesslike and get straight to the point. If somebody is rambling, then try and join the ramble, but also try and direct it to the whole, to the direction that you need it to go so that you can close the sale. So that's it. I think that's my first official rant anyway for 2021. So thank you very much, guys, for listening to the Sales for the Nigerian Wedding Industry podcast. I'm your host, Abuja-based event and wedding photographer Tavishima Ayede. On the next episode, I still have one more rant to get to, and anyway, I'll save the details for the next recording. So thank you guys for listening. I appreciate all the time and the attention that you guys invest to following me episode per episode over the course of the last year. So you guys have a wonderful day.